What's up, everybody? My name is Alex Wilson. I have my co-host beside me, Anthony Rivardo from Fireside Giants and Empire Sports Media Production, and you're listening to the Fireside Giants podcast. If you're a diehard Giants fan, you've come to the right place. Daily episodes, interviews, draft content, and so much more. Make sure to drop a like and a subscription below on YouTube, and don't forget to leave a comment. We love to engage with everybody. Today's episode, we're taking a look at a really interesting prospect, my friends. There's something about mid-round receivers that just get me really excited. There's something about finding a diamond in the rough that ends up becoming a quality player that is just like so satisfying. Like Amon-Ra St. Brown, for the Detroit Lions. I think it was a third-round pick, ended up being one of the best receivers this season. I picked him up on the waiver wire in my fantasy football league. He basically won me the championship. Dude was an absolute stud during the second half of the year. And there's a couple of really exciting young prospects I'm intrigued by, and I do want to take a look at moving forward. And the one that we want to look at today, his name is Skyy Moore from Western Michigan. Really intriguing prospect, guys. Elusive as hell. He's got some speed to him. He's physical, good hands. He kind of reminds me a little bit of Sterling Shepard when he entered the league. He's been compared to Julian Edelman. Some have called him the mini Cooper Kupp. He can do a lot of different things, and it's exciting to see the style of play that he actually uses. Really good in man coverage, really good in creating separation. And his initial, routes are just really, really crisp, and you'll see what he's capable of in the film. Before we dive into the good stuff, Anthony, how are you doing today, my friend?
I'm doing great, and I really like Skyy Moore. I think that he's a solid mid-round prospect. He's got a projection of going in the third round. Some have him in the second, some have him in the third, and a couple people have him in the fourth. But if I had to guess, he's probably going to be a third-round pick, which happens to be a perfect way to get the replacement for Sterling Shepard, right? Sterling Shepard more than likely on his way out with the New York Giants. I mean, he's coming off of a really gruesome injury, and the season before that, he had a bunch of injuries. And even though he started to play really well when he was healthy at the beginning of this year, he just wasn't able to stay healthy. And it's been a tough career for Sterling Shepard, a whole lot of potential that's kind of gone to waste due to injuries, due to, bad offenses and everything in between. They say that they screwed up Daniel Jones. They also screwed up Sterling Shepard. They also screwed up Saquon Barkley. The Giants have screwed up a lot of really talented players, and it's sad to have watched this happen to so many good players in their careers. But Skyy Moore, as we're trying to rebuild this Giants offense, reboot kind of, and they're going to have to cut players. Sterling Shepard's likely one of those players that they have to cut. Skyy Moore looks like a perfect replacement. He could fit into Sterling Shepard's old role. And he can enter this new offensive scheme that Brian Dable is building and really just kind of be that grinder, be that good route technician, and be that guy that can kind of do it all and especially make some plays in the red zone, which is really important. You'll see in this film that he makes a lot of plays in the red zone, which I think the Giants they know they need to improve their red zone offense.
That is a fact. So we desperately need to improve a red zone offense. And I'll tell you this. I think that a guy like General Manager Joe Schoen might look at Skyy Moore and say, this is a player. This is an athlete. This is a guy we can build something around, and he can help us achieve what we're trying to do. Similar when they went out and got Gabriel Davis back in 2020 in the fourth round. They saw Gabriel Davis didn't run a good 40-yard dash. People were saying he's not fast enough, this and that. But something that Joe Schoen noticed was that Gabriel Davis was super, super effective at the top of his routes. He was able to break away with that speed at the top of his routes when he was running at full speed. His start was poor, but he finishes strong. And when you look at Skyy Moore, he's not the fastest guy in the field. His 40-yard dash, he might be in the 4.5s, high 4.4s. He's not going to blow you away, but his game speed is something different. It's totally different. Same reason that Xavier McKinney ended up falling in the draft, because his 40-yard dash wasn't great. People were concerned. His game speed was so much more effective, and a better way to actually look at that as a factor and a variable instead of just brushing it off because he had a bad 40-yard dash. 40-yard dash is the most overrated freaking thing in the world. You can look at game speeds, you can look at vertical agility, elusiveness, and they all tell a different story. So when we're going to look at Skyy Moore, I want you to take a look at a couple things. I want you to look at his initial routes when they start off the line of scrimmage. He's really, really good at making guys go one way and then quickly changing direction. Really good jab step. I like to call it a little shimmy. He gives the corners a little bit of shimmy. He's so quick with the way that he jab steps to his left or jab steps to his right. Corners always end up kind of falling for the bait, and he's so quick to redirect and go the other direction. You'll see that, and I'll try and replay it a couple times so you'll get a better view. But like Anthony said, good red zone target, good hands. There's a couple of weaknesses in his game. Like I mentioned, his straightaway speed isn't anything to write home about. He doesn't have a huge radius, so he's not going to make acrobatic catches, and he's not going to be able to get balls that are outside of his radius. He's not like that kind of big receiver like Kenny Galladay or like OBJ, who could just kind of find ways to corral the ball. But if you put it on his chest, if you give it to him where he can get it, he will catch it. He doesn't drop many passes. He does have some underrated speed that you'll see, and I do think that his route running is what really, really enticed me by him, is really enticing, especially in press man coverage. He's really good at using his arms and leverage to stack and get in front of corners and really give himself leverage at the break of the route. So you'll see this in the film. But let's jump right into it, my friend. Let's take a look here. Okay, so right off the bat, we're going to look at something that we see Cooper Kupp and the Rams do all the time. They'd use this little out route to the corner. Then it's kind of a fade from the slot, and it's just like, bam. It's a tremendous throw by the quarterback, I have to say. But I like how you'll see right when he's about to break into this route, he gives that little shimmy, right? Just to freeze the corner to see what direction you're going. He gets the leverage by getting him inside, and then breaks away from him, and he uses that arm extension. You'll see he hides it really well. Something I really like about him, as at the break of his route, he hides the arm extension really well on corners. He gives them a little bit of push and creates just a yard of separation. I really like that, but it's not obvious. It's not something that a ref is going to see and say, "Oh, that was obvious offensive pass interference." He uses that arm extension really, really nicely and smoothly, so it doesn't look like it's too unnatural. And he catches a lot of contested passes, especially in the corner of end zones. He's really, really good with those. He's good at high pointing catches too. He's physical, aggressive. He's not, like I said, he doesn't have the biggest radius, so he's not going to haul in a pass 5 yards outside of his radius like some guys can. But if you put it on him, he's going to make a play, and he's really, really elusive in the open field.
Yeah, like I mentioned, he's a really good red zone threat, and I think this is kind of one of those plays that you see that, right? Like, this is classic red zone concept where you just have basically a smash concept, outside receiver running something underneath, and then, of course, the inside receiver, the slot receiver, is running something over the top to the corner. Like, this is classic smash concept, and it's really well executed. It's a really good route. It's a good throw as well. It's a perfect throw, and he makes a nice catch on it. But I'll say that play in particular reminds me a lot of Sterling Shepard. Now, if you remember, Sterling Shepard, Daniel Jones's first start, right, versus Tampa. That touchdown in the end zone, in the red zone to Sterling Shepard. They ran this exact concept. It was on the right side of the field. It was a perfect throw from DJ, but it was a well-thrown ball, and it was a really good catch, and it looked almost identical to the one that we're seeing from Skyy Moore right here. So as we're talking about maybe replacing Sterling Shepard with Skyy Moore, this is the kind of play that really shows to me like this is a perfect replacement option.
Right. And he can play inside and outside, which I really like. He's also good in motion. You can do a lot with him, which is something that's super undervalued when you're looking at him in the third round. Like, you're not going to look at him and say, "Oh, he's a boundary receiver," or "He's a slot receiver." He can play the X, the Z, the Y. He can do it all. And you can put him in motion. You can use him on end arounds. He can be a kick returner. He's a kind of a one, just kind of like one of those jack of all trades players. He can do a lot of different things for your offense, which I really like about the versatility. You have a lot of guys like that with Kadarius Toney, and you don't miss a beat, right? If you're feeding Kadarius Toney and he gets tired, you're like, all right, now we can give Skyy Moore the ball, get him in motion, use him more predominantly, and then kind of give those guys breaks to make sure that they're, I guess, not fatigued the entire game. So I like having a lot of versatile weapons. I mean, look at the Chiefs, Mike Kafka with Nicole Hardman, with Tyreek Hill. All they do is, put guys in motion, get guys running, and they take turns. They do different things. And I like that Skyy Moore kind of offers that same versatility as Kadarius Toney would for the Giants. So let's take a look at the next play here. This is a really, really nice throw by the quarterback, but an even better catch. Contested again. Cornerback is all over him, and I like the concentration at the top of this route, right? You can see Skyy Moore. I mean, he has a guy draped over him. He's not the tallest guy, so he has to look over his head, but he has his eyes plastered on that ball, man. I mean, he's so focused. And I think this might be a one-handed catch. I can't really tell from that angle, but it's just a phenomenal catch in the corner of the end zone. He keeps his leverage. He keeps focus. He doesn't lose sight of the ball, and he hauls it in, like Anthony said before. Good red zone threat. I think, when you're making these type of catches, we've seen Sterling Shepard make catches like this before. He's contested catches in the corner of the end zone. He is giving me very much Sterling Shepard vibes. People have said that. And I could see why he would be a good replacement for Shep, especially if they want to kind of have that same element to the offense. But I think he's a little bit different in the way he runs routes. He's not I feel like Shep's a little bit more shifty. I want to say that Moore is a little bit more sturdy. I don't know exactly how to define the differences between the two, but there's something there that's different, but they do execute the same way on these routes.
I don't know. I think I see the same shiftiness out of Skyy Moore when you really start to dive into the film. But right here, again, this is the same concept that we saw on the left side, but now it's on the right side. And it really does just call back to me that touchdown in Daniel Jones's first start. to the right side of the end zone in the red zone, corner route to Sterling Shepard. Like this almost looks exactly like that same play. It's the same route concept that we just watched on the first one. They love to do this route concept over at Western Michigan with Skyy Moore because they trusted him to make these catches, right? He has the ability to make these plays. Kind of tight window, but you need good route running here because you have to separate at the top of the route in order to get open and make this play. And he does. He gets just enough separation to well-thrown ball, and he's able to haul in the catch. Now, he doesn't have the best catch radius. He's not the biggest guy. It's not like it's T. Higgins going up for a 50-50 ball, but he does have the ability to locate the ball in some tight windows like this, haul it in, and make a nice contested catch. And I think this is a really good play, again, showing how good he is in the red zone.
Yeah, I like how he went underneath with this too. Like he could have jumped over the corner and tried to make some acrobatic grab, but he kind of just like lets the ball come to him and uses his body well. So nice play in the red zone there. Always nice to see guys converting in that area because the Giants have had plenty of their issues in the red zone the past couple seasons. But let's move on to the next clip here. This is just a beautiful catch. I mean, the speed, like you could see, he's not the slowest guy, right? Like the game speed is a little bit different. People aren't coining him as this speedster that's like super fast, straightaway speed type of receiver. But he gets some nice separation here. And look at this ball. I mean, he right here, he just pulls away and he snow cones the hell out of that pass. Really good hands. Like I said, does not drop many passes. That's something to keep in mind. And I really like how he just kind of turns on the afterburners. He has the second gear that he can hit to get these type of deep passes. And he has some nice separation there. In man coverage, he's incredibly hard to guard. It's borderline impossible with his elusiveness, but he does a really great job here. Just putting on those afterburners and snagging that ball. Really nice job. And another really great catch for a touchdown too.
Yeah, really great job locating the ball here over the shoulder and making kind of a fingertip grab. A lot of over-the-shoulder balls you'll see are caught on the body, but this one, he doesn't have that opportunity. This play in particular reminds me of two plays that I've seen from the Giants. One from Darius Slayton and the other one from Evan Engram. Those catches that are over the shoulder but too far away to catch it onto your body, those are the ones that Evan Engram and Darius Slayton just cannot haul in. Like they just can't do it. But this play, Skyy Moore is able to fully extend his arms and make the catch with just his hands. He doesn't need his body, just his hands. So I really like that. Shows that he's got solid hands, can make it like really impressive catches just like this one. And this is a hell of a catch. I mean, for most receivers in the NFL, you want them to be able to make this catch. But the Giants haven't had receivers that can consistently make this catch lately. But Skyy Moore can consistently make this catch. Also, you notice how much separation that he has on this play. I mean, that route got him at least 3 to 4 yards of separation, which is huge. Gave the quarterback some room to throw it over, kind of just get it out in front of him, let him get underneath it, have no fear about the cornerback catching up to him. So it's a good route, good catch. And again, this really reminds me of those drops from Darius Slayton and Evan Engram. It's exactly the kind of stuff that the Giants are trying to fix. And with Skyy Moore, I think that would be a great way for them to fix it. Get a guy who you can depend on to make these kind of receptions.
Yeah, I mean, the Darius Slayton one is plastered in my brain. I don't think I'll ever forget that. I mean, Evan Engram too, to miss the playoffs essentially, but that one to Slayton is almost like it feels identical to this. And like you said, having guys that can make those catches is the difference between losing and winning, and especially when it comes to momentum. Most sports are a lot of momentum based kind of factors, and like even look at soccer, you look at basketball, football. When a team has momentum, that's when you got to capitalize. The Giants just never have momentum because they make dumb mistakes and they drop footballs in the end zone. So hopefully we can get guys like this who can make those catches and put points on the board. All right, let's move on to the next clip here. They really want to show this guy, really want to show this guy doing that. All right, let's see. So give a little screen pass here for my man Skyy Moore. Let's see what we got. Get some blockers in space, and I like this. So he has a defender coming, and he wants to make sure that he moves that defender. He wants to try and move this defender behind the blocker to give himself a little bit of wiggle room. So he kind of like gives a jab step to indicate maybe I'm going to go around there. Defender follows, and he just jumps right back inside. Bam. Breaks tackle. Really nice open fields running. That's a good indication of his elusiveness. Really quick, agile, and he's smart, right? He's a smart runner. He really baits this guy into going behind the blocker to give himself some space. Bam. An NFL defender might shoot that gap and go right for his ankles. Maybe be a little bit more aggressive with this instead of being more hesitating a little bit more right there. But you can see how he can move guys in the open field just by using those moves prematurely. And I think that's something to be aware of and what translates to the NFL. You know, that elusiveness, that open field running, those things are something you want to see that with players making the transition.
Yeah, I mean, I think this shows his shiftiness, his elusiveness, that yak ability that I read about on Pro Football Focus's 2022 draft guide. They highlighted one of the best games of his career, which was against Eastern Michigan. He broke 7 tackles in that game and racked up 181 yards. So he's got the ability to make some plays with the ball in his hands. And I think this is kind of one of those examples because it's a quick bubble screen. It's a good block on the outside, but, you know, he can go down for a 5-yard gain, or he can make it a 10-plus yard game, right? So it's like, can you make that guy miss? And that's something that the Giants haven't had, right? Like Kenny Galladay is a great outside, you know, X receiver. He'll make those big catches, hopefully. I mean, didn't make too many of them last year, but hopefully going forward, he will. But he's also not going to make people miss an open field. And then Darius Slayton isn't making a play like this. Sterling Shepard might when he's healthy, but that's exactly why I keep comparing him to Sterling Shepard. I think this is the perfect player to supplement the loss of Sterling Shepard with, because Sterling Shepard can catch some bubble screens and gain an additional 5 yards after the catch. Like, we have seen him do that. Now, Skyy Moore also has the ability to do that, but according to PFF and all the statistics, he was first in college football with the most broken tackles this past season. He's going to be that guy after the catch, like Kadarius Toney is that guy after the catch. So I think it would be a really interesting pairing, because now, say on this play, for example, let's say on the right side, you have Skyy Moore in the slot and an outside receiver. Let's say on the left side, you have Kadarius Toney in the slot and then another outside receiver. And you're just running bubble screens, right? Both of those players have the ability to catch that bubble screen and take it to the house at any given moment. So I think that's really exciting, the prospect of that for the Giants, where you have a guy like Kadarius Toney, who's basically a running back with receiving ability. And then you also have Skyy Moore, who's a really technical, good route runner, but he also has that yak ability, as you can see on plays like this. Now, this isn't some insane Kadarius Toney level play where he took it to the house on a play that he never should have, but it just shows he has the ability to make some people miss after the catch and gain some additional yardage.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I like what you mentioned about having just like, and I kind of hit on that before, having just several different players who can do similar things, and you can use both sides of the field, right? The Giants, you line up Kadarius Toney on one side of the field, there's a good chance he was going to him, or, you know, and they were lining up him and Kenny Galladay and this guy. What I like about Moore is that he doesn't have to just be in the slot. You can move him to the outside. You can move him into a Z spot. You can move him up into the slot. You can do so many different things with him, and it's going to open up opportunities for Kadarius Toney too, right? Because who do you know where they're going? If they're going to him, they're going to another guy. Now, I will say this: he's a lot better in the short intermediate ranges of the field than he is downfield or in like the deeper intermediate portions. But that's kind of what the Giants need next season, right? I don't expect the offensive line to be amazing. I'm hoping for average at the best, right? I'm just hoping for average. And with that being said, you need to have receivers who are very effective in the short intermediate portions of the field. Moore is just that. He will get it done there, especially against teams that play a lot of zone coverage. But let's keep going here with the film. I did like this little flexibility, this little elusiveness he showed there, though. Really good open field runner. Take one more look at it. So I like how he shifts. Like, he shifts that line, but you see this move. That move was not for the defender behind the blocker. That move was for number 24 back here, right? It's 20 or 31 rather. Damn, that was so 31. This move right there was for 31 because he shifts that guy over and bam, he's gone past him. It's really nice open field running.
Yeah, I think it was great vision as well, just to kind of realize that he can hide behind this blocker and use the blocker to his advantage and helping him, you know, bounce around, because it looks like he's going to go around the outside of the blocker, but then he kind of just gets the safety to move that way, kind of manipulates him with this move here. It's really nice. A really clever move as well. Yeah, very high football IQ play right there.
Yeah, I like that a lot. All right, so here, this route at the bottom of your screen is tremendous. And like I said before, it's nasty. But what I mentioned before earlier on in the video is you'll watch right off the bat, he gives him a little shimmy. He goes left. He kind of gives just this little bit of shimmy left, a little jab step left. And it does enough to open up the cornerback's hips and for him to gain leverage over top. And then he hits him with the nastiest double move. And he completely freezes this man. It's over before the corner even has a chance. But you'll see right off the bat, this little jab step right there, bam. See, he kind of freezes him just for a second. Now he has to open up his hips and he knows, oh, crap, I'm going to get beat over top. So he basically, oh, man, I mean, this is what you want to see a cornerback doing if you're a receiver, right? Like this is where you want to see a cornerback stumbling over themselves. He opens up his hips to go deep. He's already stumbling, and then he hits him with this double move. And I mean, look, this is the perfect leverage situation for a wide receiver. He has the open field. He has the momentum going forward. The cornerback is just reacting to the double move. He's just reacting. So his entire weight is now shifted going back towards the line of scrimmage. And because of that, look at the leverage he has and look how quickly he gains separation here. Gone. Underrated speed too, might I add. This is what you want to see from, if you're an NFL evaluator, you want to see a guy who's absolutely torching press man coverage, gains the leverage right over top immediately, bam, hits him with a double move. But look how quick the double move is. It takes him a fraction of a second to execute that double move.
Look at the head fake on the double move.
Oh,
like the way that he snaps that head back, fakes it out, and then gets over the top of this corner. This is just a beautiful route. It's really nice. And one thing that I'll point out with this play is it really shows the versatility of Skyy Moore, right? Because we talked about how he's a good slot receiver, and we saw those 2 touchdown receptions at the beginning where he was playing from the slot. But here he is one-on-one on an island on the outside, and he's making a play like this with some great route running. And again, that's something that we've seen Sterling Shepard do, play inside and outside. And that's something that we've seen players in the Brian Daboll offense have to do, right? Like we've seen Stephon Diggs go inside and outside. We've seen guys like Emmanuel Sanders go inside and outside. Like that's something that Brian Daboll values, this kind of versatility to go inside and outside. This guy really is just a perfect fit with the Giants. But I mean, you look at the route on this play, I just love, and also he's stacking up over the top at the end. I mean, he's blowing this guy away, but he stays on that straight line. He's not drifting to the sideline. He gave the quarterback room to make this throw. He didn't get too close to the boundary. This is a perfect route. It's just an excellent play. I love the way that he's got that agility, that stop and go ability where he can stop and then just burst right up the field. And it's really impressive stuff. And it's just a really phenomenal route. And it's kind of exactly what the Giants need, is a guy who can make those plays from the slot, but also go outside and make some great plays with some routes like that.
Yeah, the elusiveness, right? 10 out of 10 elusiveness, tremendous route. And I love how quickly he pulled away from him too. You know, that shows like his speed is one of, like, I wouldn't say it's a negative. I'd say it's more borderline. Like it's not anything special. Maybe he has average straightaway speed, but his ability to burst from 0 to 60, right? That's what's the most impressive to me, right? He's not going to be like the type of guy who gets to like top speed and blow you away, but he gets from 0 to top speed almost instantaneously, which is something that, you know, when you think about game speed, that's what you're looking for, right? Because how often are you going to have a guy going in a straight line at full speed? You know, like how often are you going to have that unless you're running a straight up seam route or a straight up just 9 route to the end zone? That you're not going to see that very often. What I like about him, especially as a route runner in the intermediate short portions of the field, you're talking about the agility and the ability to go from 0 to top speed instantaneously. That is a valuable metric and trait that I think is overlooked at some points. Let's take a look here. I mean, look what he does to this corner on the outside. He gives him a little bit of a fake to go up the boundary, and he completely disengages this man. I mean, like I said, the jab step. He has a nasty jab step that really, really fakes, and he tortures guys with it because he does it all game. So it's like, okay, he's been using that jab step to go outside. He's been using it to go inside, to go outside. He's like, maybe he's conditioning him. And he's like, all right, I'm going to give him the outside jab step, and I'm going to jump in. Like, jab step right there. Cornerback bites on it. He actually, the cornerback even uses his left foot to turn and open his hips. He opens his hips the entire wrong direction just because of that jab step. And then he has to shift again. He's stumbling over himself. He has 3-4 yards of separation here on a slant, and bam, he gets a huge gain there. Like, that's just tremendous route running again, Anthony. I think that jab step, that little shimmy he has at the beginning of his routes really stands out to me as something that he uses a lot and that is really effective for him.
Yeah, I mean, it's really just his release game in general. Like, there's certain different releases if you want to get into the nuance of it, the minutia of the releases. But this is multiple plays where we're seeing a really good release package out of Skyy Moore. I think here, you know, that's what you're seeing, because sometimes you win at the top of the route, right? It's after the stem. At the stem, you win, right? And we saw that earlier on these clips with the red zone touchdowns, where he was winning at the top of the route, right? Where he stems it off and then he creates a separation. But now you're also seeing a play where he's winning right off the bat with a good release. This is a quick slant, and basically when you're doing a quick slant, it's release and then you slant. So there is nothing more to the route. So basically, you just have to win on the release. But the way that he wins on the release is so impressive because, I mean, it's literally a 2-step release, and he created that much separation on 2 steps. Look at that. 2-3 steps, and then he's open. You just take 2 steps, plant, and then you turn inside, turns that cornerback around, basically creates 4 yards of separation. Cornerback almost tripped and fell over himself if you watch there as he's backpedaling. It looks like he's about to fall. So really great route there. And I'll also tie it into how he fits into the scheme of Brian Dable. Now, if you take a look at Brian Dable's scheme and the metrics of it this last season, I read a great article from PFF. They used a lot of RPOs. And on, I believe it was like 70% of those RPOs, the primary route was a slant route. So the play that we just watched, where it's just a quick slant on the outside and the receiver gets open, that's what the Giants need in their offense. For Brian Dable to run his offense efficiently, he needs a guy who can line up on the outside and just turn a cornerback around with a quick slant route on an RPO. So that's a really great play that shows how Skyy Moore can fit into the Giants offense.
And that is a great piece of information, by the way, because it really gives you some more context into how he would fit into the Giants system, especially with Daniel Jones. Brian Dable loved to use Josh Allen as a runner. Those RPOs are absolutely going to be a big portion of this offense moving forward. And the entire idea of this slant route is he's trying to draw that safety in, right? He's trying to draw the safety in with the RPO because he's basically, the safety has to come up and help with the run. He wants to make that guy move up so that slant route can go over top. And they do it pretty routinely too with these RPOs. Like I think he does it again right here. He draws that defensive back in, and then right behind him he hits him. And I mean, like I mentioned before, he does some really interesting things with to get separation with his arm. He uses that leverage. He's really good at hand fighting and getting the hands off of him. And then he uses right at the stem of his routes. He just uses a little bit of a push off, but it's so smooth and so quiet. You don't really see it. And then he completely puts this guy on the ground. So it's, you're seeing he's making cornerbacks stumble all over the field with his release package and even at the break of his route. So that's something that you really like to see, that he's keeping guys unbalanced. They're having a really hard time keeping up with him. And I mean, he takes this to the crib easily.
Yeah, I love that play. I'll say we were looking at the PFF earlier, Alex and I, before we started recording, and they made a pro comparison. They said he has shades of Julian Edelman. And I kind of see that on a play like this,
Totally.
right? Because at the line of scrimmage, he's kind of physical here because he's getting pressed, but he's able to push through it. He's short, he's only like 5'10". He's not like a big 6'2", 6'4" outside receiver. He's one of those shorter guys, but he is really well built. He's stocky and he's very strong, and he can fight through contact like this. But you saw that little quick arm chop that he did to get that cornerback off of him. And then he also has the agility to kind of break into the middle of the field and just put the receiver or the cornerback on the ground rather. And so I think that comparison to Julian Edelman is really a good one, because he's got that strength and agility combination from one of those smaller wide receivers that makes him a real threat.
Right. And he's 5'10", 195 pounds, but he's a 195-pound little rock. He's not like he has no fat on his body. The guy is just muscle. He's strong as hell. And you really like to see that, especially with a guy with, really good elusiveness at the same time. You look at Kadarius Toney, super elusive, but he's not very strong. This guy, he's super strong and very elusive. So really nice combination of traits there. Once again, she was showing that little snow cone catch. And here's the play that we just saw at a different angle. And I wanted to show you this because I wanted to give you an idea of what he's doing with his hands here. So like I said, look what he does with the little jab step. And Anthony, this is a really good way to actually show it with this, because you can see with the little jab step to the left right there. He's completely shifted this cornerback to open up his hips and go up the boundary. But with that little jab step, now the cornerback has to flip. He has to false step and rebalance. And then he uses his hands basically. I mean, look, he engages. He's holding on because he's like, I already lost this rep, right? The cornerback has lost this rep. He's lost inside leverage. He puts his hands on him. And I almost want to keep saying Rondale Moore because he has the same kind of frame. But he just pushes off of him so well and uses his hands, fights. And you see he extends his hand and bam, he's gone. It's such nice. I mean, this guy is on the dirt. I don't even know how he falls, to be honest with you. Doesn't look like anything crazy happens to him. I just think it's the pure strength.
I think it's just the burst that, Skyy Moore has coming out of this break. Like, he takes those 2 steps and breaks down the defender and puts him into a compromised position. But the way that he bursts, like if you play it through without pausing at all, you'll just see how quickly he bursts out of that stance, right? When he gets into that kind of like that basketball move right there, then he bursts. It's like really quick. Like the way that he sets it up to look like he's going outside and then he's instantly going inside It's very impressive. And then, of course, as we mentioned, the hand fighting. He has really good hand fighting. We've seen that multiple times on this film. Once he starts to get pressed, he starts to get jammed. He's able to just do a little quick swipe with his arm because he is pretty strong. He's able to push that guy off. Like, I'm looking at him right now, and he's wearing 24, so that kind of plays into it. But he looks like a running back. Like, he's shaped like a running back. He's really stocky. He's well built. He's not like a Kadarius Toney where he's super skinny and super lanky. You know, like, look at those arms when he's running upfield with this football. After he makes the catch,
huge, man.
Watch when he turns upfield. He looks like a running back. Like, this doesn't look like a wide receiver. So I really like that about him, how stocky he is, how strong he is, how he can fight through contact at the top of the route. Like,
that's why. That's why when I was saying before, like when I was trying to compare him to Sterling Shepard, like he has a little bit more stockiness to him because he's like a rock, like he's built like a running back, which is interesting. Which is like I was like I can't figure out what's different about him, but he's just like a
stronger,
like a big dude,
stronger
like, in terms of his height. Like for his height, he's big.
And I think that's where the Julian Edelman comparison becomes kind of perfect, right? When we think about it, like that's a really good one by PFF. He actually does really remind me of Julian Edelman. I mean, we all remember Julian Edelman for the Patriots. He was so strong and stocky, but he's also very quick and agile. And that's kind of what you're seeing with Skyy Moore. He's got that like in the phone booth, can't touch me agility, but he also has that really strong, natural, just push you off of me ability. And I think that's what makes him a threat on both the inside and the outside and makes him a really great receiver to fit into the Giants offense.
Absolutely. But that's the end of the Skyy Moore film review, guys. Hope you enjoyed this video. This is my draft crush right now for a mid-round receivers. There's always a guy that ends up becoming a lot better than you'd imagine in the mid-rounds. You know, Amon-Ra St. Brown was last year's. So, you know, he ended up being tremendous in the right system, right scheme. I think that anything is possible. And I think that this guy fits the mold the Giants are looking for. He's tough as nails. He goes 100%. He's a willing blocker. He's strong. He's elusive. You can move him all around the offense. He can play in the X, Y, and Z. In the slot, he can do everything that you want him to do. He can be a kick returner. He has good hands. He's elusive. And he's not injury prone. So that's another big thing that stands out to me. And he's willing to fight through little minor nicks and knacks. And like that's essential because the Giants have had so many players that are like, my knee hurts, I'm out. My toenail hurts. I stubbed my finger. I don't want to play. Like they don't play through injury because they don't feel like they need to. And I kind of feel like some of these guys could. But again, like I really like Skyy Moore. I think he's underrated out of Western Michigan. If he was there in the third round, I would love to have him. But, you know, who knows? Maybe his draft stock will continue to rise after we make this video and people kind of get a better idea of what he's capable of. But I hope you enjoyed this episode of Fireside Giants. Taking a look at some more film. Make sure to like and subscribe as always. And we'll catch you guys on the next one. Have a fantastic rest of your weekend, my friends.